everyone, I'm Michelle. Welcome back to You Therapy. I've done a couple of videos on dialectical behavioral therapy. Dialectical behavioral therapy, or DBT, is divided up into four main categories. Today, I'm going to talk about one of those categories, which is emotion regulation. This is going to be just a general overview of what is taught in the emotion regulation category. Please ask any specific questions, though, that you have about it in the comments, and I'll try to answer those as best I can. Emotion regulation is really the part of DBT that teaches us about emotions. You know, we tend to think that they just happen and then we have to kind of figure out how to deal with them or shove them down. This really teaches us how to befriend our emotions instead of maybe just trying to get rid of the emotions or to plain react to the emotions. And that can sometimes get us into trouble, right, when we are reactive. The second thing that is taught in the emotion regulation piece of DBT are skills to manage the emotions. So we're not going to control emotions. Emotions don't work that way. Emotions want to be felt, but can we manage them in a way that doesn't get in the way of our life as much? And can we use them in a way that is in our best interest? The third thing that happens in this piece is reducing our vulnerability to negative emotions. So again, our negative emotions, the ones that don't feel as good, those are normal, they're natural, they're human, they need to be felt, but we don't want to be inviting them in when they don't need to be there or make them bigger than they need to be. So can we do things and be aware of our vulnerability to those negative emotions so that we don't have more of them than we need to have? So that's another wonderful piece of the emotion regulation part of DBT. The fourth part is building positive emotional experiences. Again, we may feel like we're just moving through our lives like a pinball in a pinball machine, but we are taught in DBT how to not only kind of manage and reduce our vulnerability to negative emotions, but can we add more of those positive emotions in our lives? And there's all kinds of ways to do that. And so that's a really important piece, is we don't want to get rid of all emotions. We want more of the positive ones. But as I say that, I do want to be clear that emotions aren't bad. We're not going to talk about emotions being bad in DBT, and we're not going to talk about emotions as something to be rid of. We really do want to think of emotions as a normal part of life. And when we begin to validate our emotions, accept our emotions, they start to lose their power over us. So I kind of think of it as, maybe you have a lot of anger, maybe you have a lot of anxiety, and we run from it. It's this monster, and we run from it. But when we start to pause and decide to do something different from running, and we stop and we pace our turning around and even moving toward those negative emotions and kind of looking at them with curiosity, listening to what they have to say, they start to get smaller and more manageable, and they start becoming just a natural, normal part of our lives instead of something that's ruining our lives. So what happens in DBT emotion regulation? We learn to interpret our emotions. We learn to describe our emotions. Oftentimes we don't know what we're feeling. So this helps us kind of get in touch and just with our body and with our, kind of thinking, how do we describe what's happening with our emotions? We learn to think of how they function in our lives. We learn to pay attention to the positives and to let the negative emotions begin to fade sooner maybe than they might have. So those are the general things that go on in the emotion regulation piece of DBT. I think we all could use it. We don't have to have some kind of mental health diagnosis really to benefit from DBT. So if you have questions, like I said, about how it works or what happens in emotion regulation, or any other piece of DBT, please leave that in the comments. And also, if you have great ideas for managing or working with your emotions in a way that that you have found beneficial for you, I'd love it if you'd be willing to share those with other people who look at the videos. Thank you so much for watching today. Take care of yourself. Be well.